So let me officially start our meeting today. And good evening, good morning, good day, because I can see that we are in different places here. So I will try to speak today about philosophy of martial arts, and I will try to compare something that we have in martial arts with sport. But if you do have any questions, please you can ask me while I'm giving a speech, or you can I don't know, message into a chat. So it's up to you. My idea was to tell about philosophy of martial arts, not to teach you martial arts, because it's difficult to teach online, but everything is possible now in modern world, yeah. And why I do this lecture now? Actually, I did many lectures on martial arts in Russian and in English. But now I decided to highlight some features that there is in some features that there are in martial arts, but for example, there are no such features in sport. And of course, recent Olympic Games gave a lot of talks, news, and etc. That is why I decided not to wait so long and give my lecture now. So I will be glad if you have some question. As I mentioned, you can ask me when I'm talking or after I finish my short message. I wouldn't tell that it's kind of lecture. I don't want to give and to do it like a lecture. I just want to do it more like a dialogue, or I don't know how to say, talk. Yeah. Okay, and I ask you again, please, can you message to chat what relationship you have with martial arts? Do you know anything, or it's kind of first time when you will be kind of hearing something about martial arts? Now I will kind of try to share my screen. Okay, share screen, because I gave this. Okay. So you can see, yeah, I believe the screen. So give me some sign. Also, so many people are new. Okay. Are new to martial arts, but I know that we have here one guest, at least now we have one guest who has a high rank in Aikido. Yeah, he is Aikido teacher. He is my colleague. He is also sensei, and I'm glad that you are watching us. Okay. So I believe you see, yes, my screen. If not, just let me know. So my anyway lecture, yeah, name is The Philosophy of Martial Arts, Spiritual Values versus Sporting Realities. So I decided to call my lecture like that, and I explained already why, because there are some differences we have in martial arts, and sport also has some special features, and due to recent Olympic Games, there were many kind of loud stories about different kind of sports that were involved, but also about wrestling. And I have heard at least, and I have seen some news about judo. Judo is martial arts, yeah. So that is why I decided to give this lecture. Who doesn't know me? My name is Angelina Demilkhanova. So I have a degree in psychology. I'm an associate professor. I teach how many years already I have this teaching experience at the university? 15 years. Yeah, I teach for 15 years. And I also have some rank in martial arts named Aikido. And I practice Aikido for 20 years. And I also teach Aikido. So I have both, I mean, I have teaching experience in both fields, in Aikido and in psychology. But when I was small, actually, I also have some relationship with sports. I was not professional, but anyway, I did some playing. I was trying at least to play volleyball. So this is sport, actually. Yeah, this is a team sport. But my interest to martial arts was since my childhood. And you know that there are some features that we have in Russian language that describe the word and the term martial art. I use it in English, martial art, and you know, in Russian tradition, usually we use another term. Yeah, it's not a martial art. We use it. I will try to give direct, a translation, and you can see it on my slide. It's Eastern single combats. So in Russian language, we usually say «восточное единоборство». So that means Eastern, usually something combat related with the eastern part of the earth. But the term martial art actually appeared last century. I will tell about this later. But anyway, so the tradition of martial arts, so as I mentioned already, in Russian language, we say it as Eastern single combats. If I can translate like that, I'm not sure, because I'm not a native English speaker. My native language is Russian, of course. And the tradition of this Eastern or Asian, sometimes people say, or Asian combats, became to us many centuries ago. And it was 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. And we don't have any written books or something where we can actually read when martial arts appeared. But usually now we can understand that this Asian single combats or martial arts, they appeared in East Asia, yes, Asian part of the world. I mean, the word East and Asia by itself shows us exact spot, geographical spot, yeah, on the earth where this tradition appeared. So it was in China, Japan, India, and Korea. And usually these martial arts, they have kind of their own philosophical tradition, because in these countries I mentioned, there are different also religion, and there are different philosophical approaches, yeah. And the term martial art, yeah, how it appeared in the world, it's not accidentally, yeah. I started from this since that in Russian language we say «восточное единоборство», yes, Eastern single combats. But the term martial arts actually appeared in last century. It was first part of 20th century, when in Chinese, Japanese, English dictionary, this word appeared. So the term martial arts became to us from English tradition. And it literally means, it's direct translation, yeah, from this Japanese, if I can say like that, yeah, Japanese word is like martial and art. Japanese or Chinese, because as I can understand, there are some similarities in writing, yeah, symbols. I can't read, but if maybe Takagi-sensei, you can read it and can help me. As I can understand, these symbols literally means, yeah, martial and arts. Bugei, yeah. In Japanese, bu, that means martial, bugei. And since that time in the world, this term became widely spread. Yeah, and now we are speaking about martial arts, боевые искусства. So, and that is why now when we are talking about this term, usually people associate this term with Eastern philosophy because of appearance, of this term. And it's not only a kind of fighting system. That is why when we are talking about martial arts, usually people who somehow near with martial arts, of course, if we practice martial arts, we know these things, but usually in people's mind, anyway, this term associated with kind of some philosophical system also. And you know that Bruce Lee, yes, I believe kind of, you know, this very famous, actually he was a martial artist, he was a Chinese, but he was kind of famous because he spread, this term. He kind of, if I can say like that, he gifted to the world this kind of popularization, of martial arts. He practiced Wing Chun. Wing Chun, this is Chinese style of martial arts. And when he started to kind of play some roles in cinemas in Hollywood, you know that it was 1960s, 1970s. It was era of, as we were speaking in Russian again, Kung Fu. But Kung Fu, as I know, it's not a Chinese term. It's kind of also some kind of variation. That means Kung Fu actually means master of something, but he spread, this Kung Fu, this martial arts in the movie, and they became very popular. And actually, I started my lecture from the word that I was fond of martial arts since I was a small child. Actually, it's thanks to, of course, movies and thanks to Bruce Lee, because we were watching these movies. It was forbidden, by the way, in Russian-speaking countries. We had Soviet Union that time, and it was officially forbidden to watch such type of movies. And you know, it was a kind of secret buses that came to some secret, I mean, kind of small buses. They came to some areas of some cities, and we were kind of watching these buses with small TV, these forbidden movies. So thanks to Bruce Lee, martial arts spread, became popular in the world. Sorry, just became popular in the world. So I started from Bruce Lee, and you know what kind of interesting story that Japan played kind of different role in spreading of martial arts. Actually, when Bruce Lee started to play in movies, actually karate already existed in United States, and I know that founder of Aikido, I practice Aikido, the founder of Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba, he also kind of sent some of his pupils to United States, and they already started to train Aikido. So in that sense, Japan was not so close as China. I mean, close in what sense? So in China, martial artists, different school of martial arts, so and martial artists, they were trying to keep this ancient tradition of martial arts in China. So they were not kind of allowing to be spread, these schools out of China, because they believe that it's kind of a very traditional thing, and it's not good to show these things to the world. But for example, Japan, as I mentioned, karate was popular, judo was popular already, and Aikido in that sense already was, it's not kind of was very, very popular, but anyway, people kind of meeting already these martial arts, and they were practicing. But that is why Bruce Lee kind of he in that sense played a huge role in spreading of martial arts, because we are talking about Chinese, in that sense, martial arts. And now, what school of martial arts we have? It's modern school of martial arts. Yeah, there are more than those, but this one I believe kind of more how to say, they are more popular than the others, and there are more people who are practicing these martial arts. At least, for example, a place where I live in Central Asia, but we have people from different continents. So Muay Thai, it's Thai boxing. It's very, very popular, but it became popular just maybe 20 years or 30 years ago. Karate, as I mentioned already, it's Japanese martial arts, mixed martial arts, and this is kind of, I would say, very new invention. The word mixed, that means it takes some techniques from different martial arts, and as I know, it appeared in 20th century, at the end of 20th century, in 1990s. So, and there was some fight in UFC, and they kind of used this mixed martial arts. Not they used, they now use martial arts for people who tries to be effective in fighting, in self-defense, and especially if you want to take some participation in competition, because in that sense, I believe mixed martial arts, they are, to my opinion, they are more related with sport. Yeah, Aikido, this is Japanese martial art that appeared in that sense also kind of recently, but I can't tell that it's modern because in that sense, I mean, it has a modern word, Aikido, but the founder of Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba, he invented this word, but in that sense, the martial art Aikido has some ancient traditions, some ancient martial arts schools of Japan. For example, Aikijitsu, Daitoryu Jitsu. I mean, some very ancient, Japanese styles. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is very popular. You can see some competition also in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because not all of these martial arts you can see here, they have the tradition of competition. So, for example, in Aikido, we don't have competition, but Muay Thai, Karate, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Kung Fu, MMA, in that sense, there are official how to say, it's allowed to compete with each other, And Kung Fu, as I mentioned before, this is kind of generic name, for a variety of Chinese martial arts. So Wing Chun, Tai Chi Chuan, I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing it in English correctly, because in Russian we spell it in a little bit different way. Wing Chun, this school of martial arts, Bruce Lee kind of practice. Actually, Bruce Lee founded his own school of martial arts. This name of school is Jeet Kune Do. And people who are watching us now and who doesn't have any relationship to martial arts, actually, I recommend you to read some books of Bruce Lee. He doesn't have many books, but in that sense, it's very, very easy language for people who just want to know something about the philosophy of martial arts. Because if to talk about Aikido that I practice, the founder of Aikido, he was in that sense, he had a little bit different language, and it's very, very metaphorical in that sense. And if you are not related to some philosophical schools, or you don't know anything about martial arts, it's a little bit difficult to start meeting martial arts philosophy if you read Morihei Ueshiba books, but the book that I recommend you to read is Art of Peace. Actually, this is kind of name he gave to Aikido. It's an official name, Art of Peace. So talking about Olympics that I mentioned. Some of these martial arts traditions, traditional schools officially include into Olympics. So this year we kind of had in Olympics judo. This is Japanese martial arts. Taekwondo, this is Korean martial art. I believe at least two people who are watching us now, they practice Taekwondo, yeah? Maybe you have some belts even in this school. So Taekwondo was officially added to Olympics, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, so it was last century, but I can be mistaken. Actually, I know that the earliest martial arts that were added to Olympics, it was judo, of course, and sports wrestling. This actually also martial arts, sports wrestling. And as you can see, yeah, it's Greco-Roman and freestyle wrestling. So it's not accidentally, again, I'm kind of coming back to the term of martial arts. Usually in our kind of mind, we keep this idea that martial arts is something that has philosophy and associated somehow with the eastern part of the world. But actually, sport wrestling is also martial arts. So each country, in that sense, they had their own school, and they still have their own school of fighting, because the art of fighting usually connected with people's nature, yeah, because some, of course, philosophical school, they tell that when human appear to the world, kind of in that sense, we are kind, we are not angry, but some philosophical and psychological school, especially psychologists, yeah, talking about this, that we are born in this world, and in that sense, we have this aggressive impulse. So that is why in our humans being nature, we kind of have these things, so we fight with each other for different reasons. I mean, I won't tell about these reasons, because there are many of them. And in that sense, these traditions of martial arts, or the way how I can protect myself, how I can fight with another person, they appeared not now, and they appeared in different time, but in all parts of the world. But in Olympics this year we had only this one. You see now, I don't know, but karate. This is also martial arts. It was included into Olympics in 2020, when the Olympics took place in Tokyo. But this year it was excluded, and I don't know why, but one of the reasons I have read in internet that the organizing committee, they want to give some space, some place to other sports or other martial arts. So we have some now changing, yeah, in our values in the world. And as I mentioned, yeah, before, for example, this MMA became very popular now. And now, for example, at my place where I live in Central Asia, yeah, this Kyrgyz Republic, at least 20 years ago, there were many schools of karate, many schools of Aikido all over the country, not only in the city. In Kazakhstan, our neighboring country, there were plenty of schools of martial arts, Japanese martial arts. But now we don't have so much. So mainly now in Central Asia, here at least in Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan, karate is not so, it's somehow popular, but Aikido, for example, not so popular. Taekwondo is very popular, but MMA is popular all over the world, and here also. These things, I believe, shows us that, as I mentioned, yeah, as I already kind of told, that there are some changes in our perception of the world, the values a little bit different. And now, for example, people saying, people, I mean scientists, yeah, professors, philosophers, ecologists, they are talking about changing, yeah, of these values, that this is era of global capitalism. And if we are talking about global capital, that means in our kind of mind, usually it means something opposite to spiritual, yeah, things. Mm. Maybe that is why, yeah, we kind of lose this tradition to practice uh, martial arts. I wanted to say ancient, but anyway, in my mind, it's also associated with some ancient, yeah, things. Okay, do you have any questions now? By the way, maybe uh, now, because I can't, no, I don't see in chat, but maybe I want to ask something, some comments, by the way.
Can I ask about the first part of your speech about the uh, tradition, about the ancient times which you mentioned, and uh, you told that, for example, karate, as I understood, already existed some years ago, and we. So my question is whether it was what is it? Maybe I didn't heard it clearly. Whether we have information about the distribution of different martial arts through the country in ancient times, through the world, or something like this. I mean, like karate, especially Japanese. So what was, for example, more well known? What was less well known? Something like historical research or something like that.
I believe, you know, that I didn't tell about that. Yes, I mean, in that sense, I didn't mention because I don't know any statistic. It's just my notification and something that I saw in the internet. But I believe there are some researchers and um, uh, you know what, if to talk about karate and about judo, this thing I mentioned, yeah, for example, in the United States, so judo appeared, the first part also of, actually it was the early beginning of 20th century, yeah, and they go, oh my God, I forgot again this name, so sorry. The founder, Kanadzigoro of judo, yeah, he actually uh, can spread judo to the world very fast. But I believe, I mean, I'm not an expert in judo, but why I think it happened like that. So he didn't keep it like secret wrestling. And because he studied some philosophical discipline, not only traditional Japanese, but he was very open to Western philosophy, and he was studying some physical, yeah, literally physical training, something about physical body anatomy and all these things. So he systematized somehow this traditional martial arts, and so judo, that means soft way, yeah, and make it in that sense a little bit, if I can say like that, more softer. And because he systematized this school in our, in that sense, if I can say like that, Western thinking. So you know that Eastern thinking is very metaphorical. So if you, for example, practiced Aikido, you remember, yeah? So sometimes we do some technique, sometimes we show something, but we don't speak, we don't explain. So guess yourself, you kind of will understand yourself, and when it's time, you will understand. We don't speak. But in that sense, Kana Dzigora, he was explaining. So I believe that is why judo became very, very popular. So it has really kind of good system knowledge in this martial arts school. And he didn't keep it secret, and judo was very popular. Karate, I believe, appeared earlier than judo. And it was not also kind of secret. So teachers from Japan who practice Aikido, they kind of, with a great pleasure, they shared their knowledge with karate. And that is why karate was very popular in the United States. So people who were practicing, they were kind of moving there, not only American, but Japanese people, they were moving and they were spreading their knowledge. So they were sharing, with their traditional school of martial arts. And that's the same thing did Morihei Ueshiba. So he was trying to popularize, actually, it was not his idea. This idea was of his son. And for example, now we have this also some systematic knowledge about Aikido, but thanks to his son Kisomaru Ueshiba, because he kind of made this metaphorical language of Eastern martial arts very, very understandable for our Western thinking, Western mind. Yes, and in that sense, Aikido practitioners, they came to United States, and it was very popular. But Chinese, why I'm talking about Japanese, because that was not a secret. Yeah, but for example, when I was explaining about Bruce Lee, why there are many rumors. I don't know, maybe you also know about them, that he actually died very early, in his early 30s, so 32 or 33, something like that. But technically, physically, he was very, very fast. So, for example, now you will be watching his video on YouTube, the speed, that he is doing some techniques. It's even now, okay, you can see it, but his speed was very, very fast. So in that sense, physically, he was really kind of cool, if I can say like that. But
there is very famous, sorry, there is very famous video, maybe for the listeners, as I remember, Bruce Lee playing ping pong.
Ping pong, yes.
Very fast. Yeah,
very fast,
and it was not about martial arts, but about the speed.
Yeah, so his physical abilities are really, really great in that sense. But there are some rumors why he died so early, because, I mean, there are these rumors, of course, it's like kind of legend. Because some people are saying that he was kind of spreading Chinese traditional of martial arts, but Chinese, they were not so in that sense last century. We are talking about the middle of 20th century. Then we're not so happy to spread this traditional martial arts all over the world. But he was the one who was kind of teaching, who was playing in the movie cinemas. He was popularizing. He was popularized. Yes, this kind of wushu, kung fu, jeet kune do. So this actually Chinese tradition, and some people consider that ancient Chinese masters, they kind of killed him, not literally, but there are some rumors that on some kind of place when they were making this movie, some of the ancient master came to him and touches some kind of special spots on his body, and kind of a couple of months later he accidentally died from headache. Maybe you know this story. He was in Hong Kong and he drank some medicine because he had headache, and he died. So that is why I believe, I mean, I'm not an expert, I'm not historian. I mean, I didn't do any analysis, and I'm not historian, I don't know, but I believe in that sense, Japanese traditional martial arts like judo, karate, and even Aikido, in that sense, this tradition were more popular in the middle of 20th century than Chinese tradition in the middle of 20th century.
And maybe also some huge historical processes influenced it. I mean, has impact on the distribution of Chinese. Yeah, like for example, the Silk Way exchange of goods and so on. And comparing to Japanese, there were no any like cultural or trade exchange due to the
Yeah,
close country or something like that.
yes, maybe you're right in that sense. Yeah, because Japan anyway, it's country, it's an island. Yeah, so it's ocean everywhere. Yes, Chinese had in that sense some roots, but now, for example, you know that tradition of Chinese martial arts is very popular all over the world. Yeah, it's like Tai Chi Chuan, Zigun. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it in English. And now even in America, it's another continent. While I'm talking about these things, because we are on different continents, and I think it's really interesting to compare. Yeah. So, for example, here we have some common borders with China, and here we have a lot of school of martial arts. And for example, there are some Central Asian martial arts also. Yeah. Traditional Kyrgyz or Kazakh, but anyway, in United States, for example, Japanese tradition of martial arts was stronger than Chinese. But now, for example, everyone they practice this Tsegun, Chi. I don't know. Sorry, Tsegun. That's I believe there is English term for this. Yes, but
there is a question. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
In
Yeah, I
chat.
mean, there is also
Mhm.
Korean Taekwondo, but Taekwondo is popular now all over the world. But Taekwondo appeared also in 20th century, yeah? It's in the middle of the 20th century. And I'm not professional in Indian martial arts, but there are plenty, and I don't know anything about Muay Thai, but anyway, it's also popular. Yes, we have questions. So is there any specific purpose for creating martial arts disciplines other than expressing emotions? Yeah, they at first they kind of had the role to protect ourselves from different conflicts, from aggression. So to fight, to defend. So this is kind of sometimes maybe you can hear that martial arts are also associated in our minds with self-defense. So the first kind of thing that this different fighting system they were appeared in different parts of the world with the purpose to protect our life. So did I answer? Yeah. So, okay, I will continue. Yeah. So if you have some other questions, you can ask with your voice or you can message. Yeah. So the dimensions of martial arts, I decided to call this like that. I mean, I used the word dimension. I don't know which kind other word can describe these things better. So, but I hope it's kind of suitable, yeah, word in English. So in martial arts, because it's a system, yeah. So it's a system, as I mentioned before. It has a philosophical background, yeah, and in each country there is some kind of tradition of I mean, the tradition of there is historical tradition. There are different religions. There are different philosophical schools, and usually in martial arts schools we can see these things. So the dimensions of martial arts. The first thing when you start to practice any martial arts, it's physical exercise. So it's very important dimension of any school of martial arts. In, for example, Aikido, in actually Japanese martial arts, we use the word kata. So kata, this is special exercise that has its numbers, it's sometimes it reminds, it's like a dance. Yeah, in Chinese tradition, it's literally sometimes dance. If you saw some movies about Wushu, and you see sometimes that these martial artists, they literally kind of show some kind of definite movements that reminds some animals sometimes, or some styles. They like this metaphorical name. It's like the style of tiger, the style of monkey. I don't know, it was very popular drunk style. I remember when we were kind of watching these movies. So it's very, very important things, because when we kind of train our body, in that sense, we also train our mind. And it's very useful, to practice martial arts. Of course, not everyone can, in that sense, can achieve that level that Bruce Lee, for example, achieved with the speed. Yeah, because in that sense, it's not only physical training; it's about also some physical background, because we have different temperament and etc. But anyway, it helps us to train our attention, yeah, to be stronger in that sense. We can react faster and etc. So it's very important dimension in martial arts, but not the only one. Another dimension is psychological. So in that sense, when we are practicing any martial arts, actually on these things I can also tell about sport. Yeah, in sport also there are physical exercises, and of course there is this psychological component. Yeah, so when we kind of practice these physical things, when we do this physical activity, we understand our body better. Yeah, we kind of, as I mentioned before already, we train our attention, our speed. In that sense, we kind of feel more strength, and sometimes it helps people even to believe themselves, because I see in Aikido sometimes very, very, in that sense, physically weak people come to Aikido to find the way how to, for example, it's not necessary to fight, yeah, but how to cope with this physical. So they literally want to become a little bit stronger, yeah. And it's very connected in that sense. When I feel my body, I feel my strength, I feel sometimes more confident. And there are many, many researches that were made in psychology that showed and improved, they improved these things that if you practice martial arts, or if you do sport activity, your self-confidence, your kind of believe in yourself, these things, your will, yeah, these things, like these psychological features, they kind of improving, yeah, in that sense, because it's very connected. Because, for example, literally, I remember when I started to train Aikido, we did some, for example, safety falling, and it's physically very difficult to do it if you didn't do any exercises before. But of course, for 2 years after I started to train, for example, we had to repeat on this quantity, for example, of safety falling. One of the main of this safety formula, we call it myokemi. Yeah, this is kind of front rolling. And I remember that we had to do it 100 times, 100 times. And our sensei, when, for example, kind of person who in martial arts, he can at least do it easily, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, but not 100. So you literally feel that, oh, you will die soon, or you already can't breathe. But the idea of martial arts, anyway, you have to go beyond this limitation of it's actually limitation not of your body, but usually limitation of your mind. So that is why when you kind of do it more than you kind of think you can do, in that sense, your confidence increases, of course. Yeah, so self-confidence, it's kind of you believe in yourself more and more and more. Yeah, so this is a psychological component, but another component is spiritual. Yeah, so this spiritual dimension, this what I believe literally kind of in that sense highlighting in martial arts. I mean, maybe some professional sport person, they of course will kind of argue with me, and yeah, that in sport there are something, yeah, there is this dimension that we call spiritual, because when you train your body, your spirit becomes strong. In Russian language, we kind of used to say like that. In здоровом теле, здоровый дух. So in healthy body, it's kind of healthy spirit, if I can give this translation like that. But what I'm kind of talking about, so spiritual component, this actually in martial arts tradition, we kind of taught this thing. So we literally learn this thing. So we study, yeah, this thing. So usually it's based on understanding of the essence of human nature, of man's existence, or in the world, in my world, in the world with other people, yeah, in the world that there is around me, it's nature, yeah, the earth. So in that sense, the school of psychology that I also very love, and I'm trying to spread the ideas of this psychological school, yes, existential direction, existential school of psychology. They also, yeah, tell about these things that human being, we have kind of several world, yeah, in that sense, and our own world, the world with others, yeah, and the nature, the earth, the Eigenwelt, how they call it in German. Okay, it's not a lecture about psychology, sorry, but what I'm trying to highlight here and what I'm trying to tell here. So spiritual component in martial arts usually based on the philosophical principles of the foundation of martial arts. And these philosophical principles varies from the country where these martial arts appeared. For example, it can be Zen, it can be Buddhism, it can be Taoism, Hinduism, and etc. So I practice Aikido. I understand only about somehow Shinto, something about Zen, yeah, and about Taoism. I mean, something. It's not like I'm professional, but anyway. Okay, I'm not sure that I have to talk about this different school of martial arts, yeah, because I already mentioned some, and it's better. So if you kind of want to know, I will tell you, yeah, about Wushu, but let me kind of tell actually tell about martial arts that I kind of little bit understand more. So do I need to tell about Wushu or you kind of, especially I'm not a pro. But Wushu is Chinese, yeah, martial arts. Wu, that means military, actually. This means martial also, Wushu. It has different names and different schools and different styles. Okay, there are more than one school in China, but Japanese martial arts, yeah. There are different terms that describe this spiritual component, this philosophical component of martial arts. It's like Budo, Bujitsu, and Bugei. It's different terms, and it's actually Japanese terms. And Budo means a martial way, Bujitsu means martial technique. So there are different schools of martial arts before 20th century. And Bugei, the term literally means martial arts, and thanks to this term, now we kind of using this word all over the world, as I mentioned, yeah. And thanks to this dictionary and translation into this world. But Budo actually, this is a term that kind of describes, yeah, in that sense, not describes, it's a bad word. It's like it's like a way, yeah, it's like a special way, though this is also kind of Japanese term, and it's kind of interesting, yeah, that Takagi-sensei, I will kind of use your quotation if you don't mind. Because the word Aikido also had this word do. Yeah, do. This is a Japanese term. This is actually way. Do, Dao, Tao. Yes, Tao in Chinese. But in Russian language, we actually usually translate this term like way. And we were kind of always thought that Aikido, if to give direct translation of this Budo, yeah, this school of martial arts, that means harmony, ki, that means kind of energy, this energy of, I mean, it can be psychic energy, the energy of universe, and this is the way. But the best description I ever heard about explanation of this philosophical term way, do, actually, this is way that doesn't have the end. So in that sense, if I can tell like that, Buddha, this is like a principle of your life. So it's like a special path, a special way that a warrior have to go, and this way it's not literally a road, it's metaphorical, of course, but this way that doesn't have end, doesn't, it doesn't. That means the process is more important than result. That is why, by the way, thanks to this Eastern tradition highlighting of process, we have now a very popular all over the world tradition of meditation, because meditation is the thing that usually highlight the process, not the result. It's very difficult to kind of stop our mind. It's a kind of human being's feature. Yeah, and Budo, it's not only technical, this physical component, it's of course some principles of ethics, yeah, and self-discipline, harmony, and Budo, this term we use in different martial arts, not only Aikido, Kendo, Karate, Judo, and other Japanese martial arts. This is actually Japanese martial arts, and what I also have to say that before it was Bujitsu, yeah, this term of different schools of martial arts, because if we know some history of Japan, there were many wars there, and that is why there were many different school of martial arts. But then this was there were not so many wars and fightings, and that is why all these traditions of fighting, they kind of somehow evolved to the philosophical traditions, if I can say like that, and they kind of got different name. The word do kind of used now in this tradition, like kendo, it's like the way of sword, yeah, judo, soft way, aikido, the way that kind of has to show, I don't know if I can say like that, the love, the harmony, and the unifying, yeah, and all these things. And so this actually has some historical, yeah, components. Maybe you have heard about this word Bushido. This is a kind of code of honor. This is literally some code of honor and some moral principles, some kind of written rules, how people who are practicing martial arts, how we have to behave. And for example, if I wear some special uniform, yeah, in Aikido, and this is traditional Japanese, yeah, clothes. The name of this hakama. Hakama has this kind of the construction of this hakama. This has 7 folds, yeah, and actually this is as we call them virtues of Bushido, yeah. So I did some kind of mistake in this term, but Bushido, okay. So if you practice any martial arts, actually Japanese martial arts, it's like we have to follow, yeah, this kind of principles. So they are integrity, courage, compassion, respect, honesty and sincerity, honor, duty, and loyalty. But what I should say, I mean, it's of course spiritual, yeah, component, but you should understand also these things that there are many practitioners of martial arts, but of course not all of them they kind of live with these principles. But anyway, by default, yeah, if you practice martial art, the system of this school, the system of martial arts, by default, it has this kind of things that we have to follow, yeah, these virtues. Okay. Yeah, I just started to read some comments, sorry. Takagi-sensei, yeah, he told, yes, that the path, that means do, the warrior means bo. I give some kind of correct translation, yeah. And I was asked also, in which school do you practice Aikido? Which style do you practice? I practice traditional Aikikai style. Aikikai style. I practice Aikido 20 years in Kyrgyzstan, and I traveled all over the world. I have been visiting different schools and different senseis, teachers of Aikido, but mainly on them, yes, they are Aikikai. For people who watching us and who doesn't have any relationship to martial arts, that you know that it's not only each country has its own school, but you see that even one school of the country has different directions. Officially here I'm answering again on the question that who is our sensei here in Kyrgyzstan, in Kyrgyz Republic. Our official sensei is Tomohiro Mori Shihan. He is from Aikikai Hombu Dojo. But my sensei who was teaching me, he is local. Now he is out of Kyrgyzstan. His name is Nurjan Akhmatov. He is actually a former karate teacher. So he has second dan in karate and fifth dan in Aikido. But officially in Kyrgyzstan, Tomohiro Mori Shihan. But as I mentioned, yeah, I traveled a lot, and I attended many seminars. And for example, I I like many senseis, yeah. But one of my favorite so is Miyamoto sensei, yes. So I have been several times on his seminars, yes, and I really like his technique, Tsuruzu Miyamoto, but he's also from official Hombu Dojo Aikikai tradition, yeah, at least, yeah. But I also visited some European school, and of course, in Europe is very popular school, French school, yeah, of Aikikai is Christianity's yes school. Okay, I believe, Daniel, I'm sorry, maybe you haven't been, yeah, at the beginning I was asking if you are related somehow to any martial arts, but yeah, I believe you practice Aikido, so if you don't mind, can you kind of also message, yeah, what school of martial arts you practice, yeah, and maybe who is your Shihan, who is your sensei, sorry. Okay, so do you have any other questions now? I promise that it won't be a lecture, it will be dialogue, but anyway, because I lecture, I'm lecturer, it's kind of, anyway, it's a lecture, yeah. But do you have any questions now? I mean, other questions? If not, I will continue about specification of martial arts and what makes it different from sport. It's okay if you kind of have questions, you will message. Okay, so this specific, yeah, that there is in martial arts tradition, it's also rituals. I mean, of course, in sport, in that sense, what makes different us with sport? Yeah, of course, in sport we also kind of have these rituals. But you know that I it was kind of very interesting research I had several years ago with one of my students. She was professional sport person. So she was master of sport in women, and she was training many years, and she was comparing. So we did this research together. I was supervisor, and we kind of made research on the topic of rituals between sport persons and between martial artists. And you know that if some of you who are watching us now, that in sport, for example, there are of course some rituals, but there are some, you know, unofficial rituals. It's like, for example, if you have some important competition, some sport person, they believe, oh, I don't have to wash my hair because I mean something bad can happen tomorrow on my competition. Other people, they kind of think that, oh, it's like a superstition. It's not literally a ritual. It's a more superstition, but it's like it's very connected. I mean, it's like, oh, if I will talk with anyone today, tomorrow I can't win. So, and a lot of these superstitions that sometimes kind can became like can become like a ritual. So before competition, some sports person, they, for example, can close themselves in the room. They have to be there for 1 hour alone. They have to pray. Some, for example, they have to sit 10 times. Someone has to, for example, kind of touch the hole the 10 times, and etc. So different rituals. But what was interesting in martial arts? So in sports there are many of these things, but in martial arts we almost don't have these things. I know that some psychologists are watching us right now. So if you have some ideas, maybe you can guess why. So if you have ideas, you can message, or if you want, you can use your voice. How do you think why in sport there are many rituals, there are many superstitions, but in martial arts traditions, I mean, there are, of course, but not so many superstitions as in sport, for example. So do you have any ideas? Why it's kind of happening like that? It's not necessary, by the way, to be a practitioner of martial arts or to be a sport person. I believe everyone who was studying at school or at the university, maybe at least in Russian-speaking countries, we had this tradition, yeah, that if you kind of learn something before exam, you have to put the book under your pillow when you sleep, and when you wake up in the morning, you will remember the information you have been learning better. I don't know if someone who is and watching us maybe also remember this from your school time or from university time. So do you have any ideas why it's like that? Okay, no comments. No comments. Okay, actually, mm, there is explanation, but this explanation, to be honest, on this site, you can see it's not a secret. Because martial arts system, it's already has these rituals. So it's very ritualistic in that sense. And from psychological point of view, we know that, for example, if you have something very important, you have to do like it's like competition, yes, or exam, or you have to kind of do some fight or something like that. If talking about combats, yeah. Usually our anxiety is increasing. I mean, it's okay, it's normal. it's a natural reaction. And when we have a lot of anxiety, actually physical activity helps us to decrease this anxiety, of course. But some rituals, they actually helps to increase this, to decrease this anxiety. I was talking about physical activity. So physical activity is decreasing the anxiety. Sorry if I was mistaken. And rituals, they do the same. So if I do some ritual, it's a little bit decreasing my anxiety. That is why I have to do something special that will help me to feel myself more calm. For example, if I have some important event I have to do on some competition, because it's natural to have this anxiety. But in martial arts system, I mean, it's the system by itself has these rituals. For example, we have some special rituals, like we have to prepare for the fight. Yeah, in Aikido we have to do bow, and we are entering to the place where we are doing this training. For example, in Japanese language we call it like dojo. Yeah, if to give direct translation, that means the place where I look for my path. Yeah, so do. That means the path of the way. So this is a special place where I look for my path. You see, it's already in the term of the place where I do training. It's already we see this philosophical and spiritual component. So it's not like a gym. It's not like a site. Yeah, we call it dojo. So, and for example, when we have to go inside of dojo, we also have to go, we have to do bow and etc. But these things we also have in Asian culture, not only Japanese, Korean, in Kyrgyz, we also, this have kind of thing that we have to do bow the people that are older and etc. etc. So this kind of very connected with respect and discipline. Yes, and for example, in different martial arts, so there are different techniques that we use for focus and concentration. In Japanese tradition, kata, for example, we use for the concentration. We use some meditation, because meditation, there are different forms of meditation. There is active and there is passive meditation. So it's not necessary to sit without movement and try, and it's like you're sitting and trying to keep your mind without thought. It's very difficult sometimes. So for example, when you do some movements like kata, it's also can be active meditation. Yeah, so when you do some safety falling, as I mentioned before, we did this. For example, Mario came in this rolling front. Yeah, the safety falling. That we use in Aikido for example, 50 times, 60 times, and it's literally like meditation. So it's like a ritual. Yeah, and there are of course a lot of symbolic things. Yeah, in martial arts tradition, like special uniform I mentioned. Yeah, we wear kimono, gi. Yeah, this term we use, and hakama. If talking about Japanese tradition, but in Taekwondo also there is kimono. So it's like special uniform, and you know that there are different kind of system, not like a differences, but there is a system of belts in martial arts, and if for example, your white belt in Taekwondo, I know that they use some different colors of belt to show that you kind of achieve some definite level. But what usually kind of common for all martial arts, that kind of black belt. So if you have black belt, that means you are not student or pupil, you became master already. And you know, by the way, this is one of the superstitions that exists in one of the superstitions that exists in martial art, in Aikido, in Karate, that we have this idea that when you start practicing martial arts, you have white belt, but you don't have to clean or wash it. And because if you wash it, it's like you are kind of wash all your skills that you kind of already have. And that is why by time, this belt becoming black. So that is why kind of there is white belt and black belt traditions. One of the explanation. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not. But these rituals, these rituals, this kind of makes different us from sport. I mean, in sport, you see these rituals appears by itself. Yeah, these superstitions appears by itself because the system of sport is a little bit different. But because anyway, any physical activity, any competition and all these things that are connected with stress situation, usually, I mean, in that sense, we have to understand we have this feeling of anxiety. And if we have this feeling of anxiety, we have to somehow decrease this feeling of anxiety. If talking about psychology, because I'm also a psychotherapist, yeah, I'm not only a psychologist and lecturer, I do psychotherapy, and for example, if you do treatment of some obsessive compulsive disorders, so basement of these obsessive compulsive disorders, usually anxiety, and people who suffer from this disorder probably they have a lot of rituals. So that is why sometimes when I do therapy of such patients, I kind of recommend them to do some physical activity, to do sport, or, for example, martial arts, any martial arts. It doesn't actually depend what school, because to my opinion, any school of martial arts, because it has this spiritual, philosophical and psychological components, it can be literally like cure for sick world, like Morihei Ueshiba was talking about Aikido. But anyway, in that sense, Aikido was invented like that, yeah, because we don't have, of course, competition, and the philosophy of Aikido is literally to talk about not only to talk about peace, but if we practice Aikido, we also have to spread this idea of peace to the world. Okay, what also make a little bit different sport from martial arts? So this is the figure of sensei. Sensei, this Japanese word that means kind of born before, the one who is older than me. Yeah, or usually this term in Japan people use for some respect. Yeah. Form when they're kind of talking to teachers, yeah, doctors, and etc. In martial arts, yeah, we are calling our teachers, of course, like that. And now I became a teacher also, and my students also, pupils of Aikido, they call me like a sensei, but that literally means teacher. And the figure of teacher is very important in martial arts. In sport, you know that the figure of trainer is also very important. And if talking about recent Olympic Games, I don't know about any countries, but for example, I know the story of our silver medalist, the guy who was kind of in Olympic Games without his trainer, and he won silver. He was a professional boxer. Yeah, but I believe, and people are saying that, for example, if he had his trainer with him, maybe he was able to kind of take this gold medal, because it's very important. Yeah, this support of person who is near with you, but you know that usually in sport trainer with you only in some time when you practice, and we know that sport kind of has some limitations in terms of age. Yeah, if you saw this Olympics or any other Olympics, you know that sometimes people during Olympic Games, actually they are exactly on Olympic Games, they're saying, okay, I'm done with my career, I finished, so it's my last kind of medal, and they're saying goodbye to this big sport because there is a limitation, because sport is very, very connected with physical ability. But martial arts doesn't have, in that sense, a limitation. And for example, if you finish your career in sport, your teacher, your trainer, I mean, you of course, you can become a friend with your trainer, but anyway, it's like sometimes this friendship is finishing, if I can say like that. But in traditions of master of martial arts, sensei or teacher or shifu, yeah, if to talk about Chinese martial arts, this person plays a huge role because he is also part. I mean, he's not only teaching you, but he also kind of becoming part of your life. And you know, this I mean, life out of the place where you're training. I believe it's also kind of more, you know, Eastern tradition. That's like a teacher is very, very respectful here. For example, if not to talk about martial arts only, but I belong to School of Psychology, and my teacher, he actually was philosopher, very famous philosopher. But we kind of had a friendship, yeah. And in that sense, he was also kind of sharing some things, not only in terms of scientific things and philosophy, but he was also part of my personal life. It's like a sensei in psychology, but in Japanese and Chinese, I mean, in any Eastern tradition of single combats, if I can, yeah. Tell like that, yeah, or martial arts, as we know already, this person is very, very important. So he teaches you not only technique, he also kind of shows you some moral principle, this Bushido, Budo, and all these things. So that is why to be sensei is very responsible. You know, you have to be not only technically really good, but spiritually you have to achieve, yes, some level, and that's some definite level. Yeah, and in East we are saying like that. So parents, they kind of gave you a life, but sensei or teacher, he kind of have to craft from you a human. So it's metaphorical, of course, but this also what makes a little bit different, to my opinion. Yes, sensei in martial arts and trainer in sport. And some few words, yeah, about what usually knows, yeah, people who practice martial arts. Of course, we know some physiology and anatomy. We know some kind of things about combat theory and strategy, because we kind of have to explain. If we teach, if I teach Aikido, for example, I also have to know about history of Aikido. I have to know about philosophy and all these things. Yeah, so it's not only about technique. Technique is kind of not the main theme, as I mentioned before. It's a spiritual and philosophical background, what makes so special the martial arts. Yeah, we know something about psychology. We know, of course, these ethical and moral principles, and we know about something. We have to know, ideally, something about physical fitness. Yeah, and of course, if something will happen, it's like we have to know how to help a person to do some first aid. Yeah, some medical knowledge. And in that sense, what I else want to talk here in my lecture anyway? Yes, I really like these words of ancient Japanese philosopher. He is actually he was martial artist, and he was telling that you know, there are I mean, there is technique and there is principle. For example, if I'm talking about some physical things, so technically, for example, at any martial arts, I can kind of be really good. I can be really kind of fast in my striking, kicking, yes, and I can achieve really high level of mastery in that sense in technique. But the main thing, that a basement in this things, it's not a technique. It's like the basement is principle. So if, for example, I learn some different martial arts, I can kind of learn different techniques. But if I understand the principle, so the principle is kind of again, is a basement, is modern technique. So the other martial arts, if I, for example, want to learn, it will be very, very kind of easy for me because I know the principle. Principle of martial arts, it's like, for example, it's distance, it's timing, it's Japanese term, for example, mai, we use in Aikido. It's philosophical term, but I don't want to talk about this. So my main idea was actually to talk about more in general about martial arts, yeah, and what difference with sport. But anyway, it's like principle, it's like time of reacting, it's distance, it's like to kind of do something in right moment. Yeah, it's like ichigo ichi. Yeah, there is this Japanese yet a philosophical principle. So if you do something in wrong moment, sometimes literally in fight, it can cause you life. Yeah, you literally can be killed. But in life, it's also, for example, if you were offered some good job and you were thinking and you kind of refused, so 1 year later you kind of will think, oh, I should accept. So it's not a moment because this company has another good specialist. So I mean, it's just metaphorical things, but principle, I mean, technique is different. And Takuan Soha, this master of martial art, yeah, he was telling that the man who has mastered the technique and the principle is uncomparable. So he's really, really true master, yes. But it's very difficult because not everyone is able to grasp, yeah, both things, the principle and the technique, because principles go further, yeah, than technique. So, and that's kind of here I want to finally finish my speech. And I see that there are not so many people here who are here now. But anyway, I will be glad, yeah, to your questions if you have these questions. Because I want to share, yeah, with this video on YouTube. And as I mentioned at the beginning, yeah, my idea was to kind of if I can say like that, to return some attention to martial arts, because these schools of martial arts that we have in different countries, these ancient schools of martial arts, it has really, really kind of interesting, not only history, but really the strong background that can be very helpful to a person, not only achieve some kind of physical ability, but also very useful for spiritual things. And especially if we are talking about modern worlds, that sometimes we lose this respect, yeah, and all these things that we have in this code of honor that usually exists in martial arts tradition. It's really useful, I think, if people will also practice, yeah, this different schools of martial arts, or at least maybe know that there is such option to do it. Okay, any questions if you have, any comments? Because there are not so many of us. While you're thinking, it's like, you know, that I was also kind of talking about martial arts with my classmate, but she's professional volleyball player. She's not here today. And what she was kind of talking to me recently, she saw some, you know, some MMA fight, I believe, on YouTube, and she was asking, because she's not professional in this fighting, and she was asking, so, you know, some people are kind of, when they are talking about UFC, I believe it's about UFC, that there are no these rituals, yeah, there. And sometimes, yeah, this actually the sport person, they behave so unrespectfully when they do this fight, and that and she was asking me, it's like a proposal, maybe it's like a marketing step, or what is it? Because it's like UFC anyway, it's fighting. It has to have some rituals or something. I mean, some legacy from martial arts. But to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I think, yeah, in UFC or MMA, I believe this is not main purpose, yeah, because the main purpose there is to win. In that sense, it's competition, it's about money, it's about show, so it has different purpose. But the idea of any martial arts, especially Aikido, because anyway I represent the school of Aikido, it's another thing. It's spiritual. Yeah, this dimension is really important, and not only to make my life better, but the people who are near with me and who are in the world, they also kind of deserve, yeah, that I also kind of show and demonstrate them this harmony, love. If to talk about term of Aikido, yeah, harmony. I can translate it like that. Okay, Takagi-sensei, you're telling that you are just time have heard about Takoa and Soho. Yeah, yes, it's like if you want, I can share where I have yeah, kind of read about because he has really, really kind of interesting yeah, thoughts. I mean, in that sense, I really like to read, you know, this Japanese philosophers, if I can tell like that, especially ancient, because books, their text, their books is really kind of metaphorical and very, very, in that sense, curable. Yeah. Okay. Any questions, comment? Okay, okay. So I hope it was yes useful for you so I will put it on my YouTube channel. It has my name, and I will share the link on Facebook. I mean, because I was trying to promote actually lecture on different platform, and you know what? I will tell something in just few words. It's like. I saw some discussion on some of the platforms, but these people, they didn't come to see and to join our lecture because of time difference, I believe. But what the discussion was about, that they were practitioners of Aikido, and they were kind of telling that, oh, even kind of in Aikido now it is becoming very, very American. So there is this discourse in the world. I mean, I am not professional. I don't know. I haven't been to America, but it's like they consider that Aikido, it's traditional Japanese martial arts, but some practitioners from America, they do it more like I mean, like a sport now, if I can say like that. It's like a show. So, so there was some kind of discussion about this. But the lecture was not only about Aikido. Maybe I will do another one about philosophical principles of Aikido, because I did it in Russian already, but I didn't do it in English. But there is such a discourse that I'm talking about martial arts, but even in different schools of martial arts, also there is this tendency of global capitalism in that sense. So it's like show money, capital, not only about philosophy and spirit. But I believe it's kind of human being nature, not only now. It's like it was always like that. There are people who achieve some both things, yeah. Principle or technique. There are people who achieved only techniques. But anyway, to achieve technique, it's also good than not achieve anything. Okay. Thank you very much. If kind of you don't have any comments and questions, I will finish here for today. Thanks that you are being with me. So, arigato gozaimasu. It's kind of late at your place. Okay. Thank you. I will stop here.